Are you finding that you have invested in so many healers, so many coaches, maybe even several thousands of dollars? You know all of the spiritual lingo. You know about inner child healing and shadow work and, the masculine feminine balance. You know ego deaths. You have been doing all of the work, yet you still are feeling like you're stuck in these same energetic cycles, these same emotional cycles. Does it feel like you no longer are even the you that you used to be? But you also know that you are not yet the you that you are becoming. And it feels like figuring out what that dissonance is, what's between where you are now and where you're going, is really freaking hard to figure out. It's eluding you. So today, I'm going to go into the depths of why nothing that you've tried up to this point has fully worked, and the actual science behind all of this and what's happening at the deepest levels, at the identity level, to help you get unstuck. And I'm going to tell you how you can do that, how you can go deeper and actually get some traction going with your life, your health, your relationships, your business, or probably all of the above, because these things, as we know, are very interconnected. And it all comes down to identity. It all comes down to how you actually see yourself deep down. That is going to influence everything else in your life. So let's get right into this. I work with really bright, intelligent, and amazing people. And they are very smart. They are very intuitive, and they have always been very successful. Anywhere you put them, they're going to be successful because that's who they are. Everything they do in life, they do it well. That's the type of people I work with. And usually when they come to me, though, it's because they have tried everything under the sun to help them heal, because they truly want to heal. Yet, despite everything that they have done, every inner child workshop, some of them have went on these retreats, they've cried through all of these cathartic releases, they've charged all their crystals, they've meditated, whatever it is. But many of my clients are healers themselves, and they've learned even how to coach other people through awakening processes and through growth, yet is still is feeling to them like there's something invisible. There's this invisible barrier that is holding them back in life, and it's keeping them from being in their full happiness, their full flow states, their true success, and their true abundance. It also is not something that you can so easily define on paper, right? You could say most of these people are doing excellent. If you looked at what they're doing on paper and you looked at how their life looks, they're like, it looks good. They are doing the work, but they're still feeling this confliction inside, because there's a part of them that still knows that They are constrained somewhere. So if this is you, listen very, very carefully because this is really going to help you. It's going to give you exactly why you've done all of this and why you still feel stuck, like you're spinning your wheels in the mud. And that analogy, spinning your wheels in the mud, I'll tell you about that in a sec, but take this info and do with it what you will. If you apply it, you can be feeling better in this day, or you can keep choosing to go through these cycles again and use the same excuses. That's up to you. Cool. That analogy with the wheels in the mud, by the way, that came from when my partner and I went to go visit my brother and sister-in-law and my oldest nephew before my new nephew was born. And we were in Washington, we were on the beach, and saw this guy get his Jeep stuck in the mud. And the more he would try to get out, the more he got stuck. The deeper he would go until like 8 guys had to come and literally like push his Jeep out, or they pulled it out with a chain on another truck or something. But that's such a good analogy for what's happening to a lot of people, especially right now when there's so many different paths of healing available. So, yes, does that sound familiar? Does that feel like what you are doing spiritually? Do you know someone who's doing that spiritually? It's not like you're doing the same things in the same way, like you've evolved past that, but you feel that that energetic cycle is the same. Why is that? It's because what you are dealing with when that happens is not another block that you need to clear. It's not, you know, something that one more healing modality is going to fix, or, this is an identity crisis at the deepest level. This is happening on the soul level. The version of you who took shape to keep you safe in this world, who learned how to adapt to trauma, how to stay small to stay loved, or to pursue success by checking in all of the right boxes. That version of you is no longer in alignment. That version of you is no longer in alignment with or resonance with the direction that your soul is actually opening up to and that you're actually going. That is the wrong you for the hugeness and the fullness of who you are becoming. Until you actually dismantle that old identity, and not just spiritually on your vision board or affirmations or mindset, but rather energetically and neurologically. And until you do it on that deep, deep level, then no amount of any of this stuff is actually going to change the outcomes that you're living. That is the part that 99% of hypnotherapists or healers out there don't understand. And they never talk about that because they don't understand that. What most hypnotherapists do is they keep you looping through the surface layers and they label it as transformation or powerful healing. But for many people, that is a huge shift. So, not bad mouthing anyone, because for some people, that is a huge shift for them to even go to the surface level of healing. And it's a huge improvement for them from where they were in a lower vibration. So, however, though, when you are so sensitive, when you are so intuitively attuned, and you're so awake that you've already been through those surface levels, you see through all of the surface levels of this world, that level of healing just starts to feel like spiritual gaslighting because you can already predict what it's going to do. You know deep down that this is not enough because you already know it's a performance, it's going through the motions or going through a template or going through some process that they're taking all of their clients through over and over again. And you are craving the real tangible shift that all of that performative bullshit and lets you move as your true authentic self. That's the type of healing you want. You want to have some room to breathe finally. So let's get into the actual science of why 99% of healers and hypnotherapists and intuitives and gurus and psychics and light workers and coaches all, why has all of this not worked for you so far, despite all of these people you've seen? Or at least it hasn't fully and completely landed for you yet. Well, it's because they are aiming at the wrong layer of you. Most healing modalities are focusing on reprogramming thoughts, calming emotions, shifting beliefs, and it feels like it's doing something. It feels like it works because this can bring about temporary relief and or you might have some really big insights in one of these sessions, or it feels like energy is moving but not deep enough to the point that you actually address who is having those thoughts to begin with. And that is that self, that identity that you built through the years of having to be in survival mode, of having to adapt, to prove yourself, to people please. That is the you that is actually running the show behind all of this, behind every breakthrough that you're having. So you can't go further than that self because that's what's actually running everything. Does that make sense? And get a drink of water here. Here where I am in Colorado, it's so dry and it's so warm right now. It just makes everything so dry. So think of this as you're filming a movie and you switch the scenery, and you switch the backdrop of the movie, but you're still using the same script. You're still having the same director. You're still having all of the same actors and players in the movie. How different is that movie going to be? It's going to look different because it has a different backdrop. So I want to share some real examples of this and how it manifests in people's life experience. So I'm going to share some real life stories from case studies in my practice, as well as people I've worked with. And I think that this will really help you to understand what's going on here. First client I want to talk about, she is a Reiki master, probably around age 38, 39, and she's a crystal healer. We worked together for quite a while, actually, for several months to heal a relationship pattern that kept showing up in her life. And what happened in her case is she came to me to because she was having these really toxic patterns in her relationships, and to the point where in these relationships the cops got called. These were to the point that she was attracting men who didn't treat her good. A couple of them were full out DV type people, so very serious. And she explained to me how she kept doing all of this different healing work. She did Reiki, she did crystal healing, she did crystal bowl sound healing, she did hypnotherapy, she did biofield tuning, but something that she didn't realize until we actually got down to sit down and talk about all of this and do all of this work together was that through all of this healing that she did, she would attract new partners who were slightly a little bit more conscious each time, but yet the same abandonment wounds would come up again and again and again every single time until we actually got to the meat of that and we were actually able to identify that root wound, that core wound at the deepest layers and levels. And once we did, we addressed that and actually could find the true trigger of this pattern. She was able to meet someone at that point. As soon as she cleared that, it was like within a few days, she met the person that she's with now. And this guy really treated her like royalty and well, treats her like royalty. And actually, they're getting married in Puerto Vallarta this summer. So, yeah, once we addressed it at the deepest level, she was her actual true self that resonated with her true divine match. So then I worked with another client, and actually, I still work with him here and there, like as he is reaching new levels and awarenesses, like we'll do a session on something that to get him into that next level. And but when we did the bulk of his healing about 3 years ago, his main dilemma was he really wanted to have he wanted to leave his 9 to 5 and build a really successful conscious business. So I think at the time he was working at a hardware store where he lives over in the Pacific Northwest, and building his business on the side. And he was only working a day or two a week at the hardware store. Anyway, this shift seemed like it was going to be so easy for him to just work a couple days at the hardware store and start gaining traction and momentum and let his business grow. And then he would be free to do that, right? But he found that even as he was stepping into this new identity as this coach and as this teacher, his old self doubt was still with him from childhood. And it just kept showing up in these different costumes, these different containers. And he was finding it really, really hard to actually make traction in his business. Like he was struggling big time financially at that point, despite doing all of the things. He was showing up, he was doing social media, he was getting speaking engagements, he was connecting with people. But it was all that same thread of self doubt that had been with him since childhood, just wearing the costume now of him as this conscious business owner, but still with those self worth issues. His nervous system still did not compute that it was safe to receive abundance. And he had these beliefs that he had to work and grind and stress out to make the money. So, why do these same energy patterns stay despite every fiber of your conscious self wanting to break through? Because it's the same energy pattern deep down. Different stories are just attaching to the same energy pattern. And until you're able to really dismantle that at the deepest level and dismantle that self image that has created that problem in the first place, the healing is always going to be just like changing wallpaper in a house that its foundation is cracking apart and the roof is about to cave in and the siding has all fallen off of that dang house. So the shift that I'm showing you here, and I hope that this is really starting to click, is that so much of this stuff is not about blocks or reprogramming again, but there's a hidden grief actually that really needs to be honored and acknowledged. That is the grief of letting go of that version of you that has kept you safe for so very long. And even if that version was stuck or small or sabotaging you subtly, it's the one that you're trying to shed as quickly as possible, as hard as you can. But you may not even know that consciously, you might not even know that it's still very heavily wired into your nervous system that way. As this is home. This is who I really am because it's so familiar. And you do have to grieve that old version of you, that old identity, to make room for the new one. It has to be fully grieved and fully processed and honored because that part's been really helping you for so long that it's had a positive intention. So just throwing that part in the trash is no way to treat that part of you that has been yearning for recognition for so long. So when you begin to step into your higher self version and the part of you that's fully free and seen and abundant and powerful, your system is not only resisting that, but it's actually panicking. It's in full red alarm mode. And that doesn't happen because something is wrong with you or because you're not aligned. That happen It doesn't happen because you're not enough or because your energy is off. It happens because it's about something so much deeper. It's about really becoming that person that is safe doing the new things that your new identity does. And so there's a period of feeling like you're losing your footing entirely. And that's where most people fall back into those old patterns. There's that transition phase that it's going to be really fucking uncomfortable. Your nervous system doesn't yet have a reference point for you that it's safe to be that new identity. So that's why you're hesitating. That's why you can't post the thing you want to post, or you doubt the business move, or you doubt that your business is enough, or you doubt that you are enough, or you can't put all of your energy behind something that you're doing because you're downplaying what it is that you truly want and know to be true for yourself, and you choose people pleasing instead because that feels safer, plain and simple. It's not because you don't want to grow, because I know you want to grow. I know you want to grow more than anything in this world. You're ready. You've been ready. You're ready to do the work even. But your body has not yet been shown the way that growth is not equal to danger. So that's the missing piece. You need to give yourself the benefit of the doubt and give yourself the literal space to consciously grieve that old part of you and give yourself all the time in the world to grieve that old part of you that you're leaving behind and the old paradigms that are no longer in alignment for you and this new version of you that you're becoming, while at the very same time you are rewiring safety into this new version that you're becoming. And that is why, until that is addressed, you are always going to be circling back around that old version of you, that old self wearing a new costume and a new clothes, but still wondering what the fuck is wrong with me and why does nothing stick? That's real. What actually needs to happen is not more rituals or taking another course or doing mindset hacks or affirmations out the ass until you're blue in the face. No, it's an identity level shift that is literally you unlearning all of everything you built up to this point in your life just to survive. That goes really, really deep. And there's so many nuances to that, but this is about resonance in the deepest sense. You already have the repetition and you already have the mindset and the information that you need to do this. The next chapter is simply waiting for you, that things are really starting to open up. And it's not going to be about being more disciplined or borrowing a strategy from someone that you perceive as succeeding. This is a personal journey and it's about you. It's about facing those inner things. Truly. It's about fully aligning your entire being, every fiber of your being, with the frequency of who you're actually becoming. And who your soul knows deep down already that you are already. You already are. And when that shift happens on the deep levels, you aren't going to be needing to force things. You aren't going to be needing to chase all these people and all of these opportunities because you become magnetic. Because that becomes who you actually are. You become the version of yourself that all of that stuff is a no-brainer. And of course, you're going to attract the aligned ideal relationship. Of course, you're going to have the success in your business. Of course, you're going to find happiness in your life because that's who you are now, through and through. And that old version of you is gone. The new version of you is here. So when you come from that place, it's already yours, all of it. There's nothing to attain because that's just you. You'll also know that you're really, really shifting when you no longer need external validations outside of yourself because you're fully rooted and anchored down into the depth of knowing who you actually are. So that is the shift that's going to change everything for you if you're going through this type of an existential identity crisis, so to speak. So I hope that gives you the knowing and insight that you don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to even fix yourself. You don't have to find something to fix. And to find that it's safe to fully let go. of that false self and align with who you really are, the resonance of your actual soul identity. And when you get there, your entire life is going to rearrange to fit that. And it's an effortless, natural byproduct of all of your inputs. That becomes the output of that. So I want you to know if you need help with this, I am not the healer who is going to just help you feel better for a few days and blow smoke up your ass. Like, I'm literally here to help you figure this shit out. Okay. I'm helping you become who you actually are. I work at the level of identity and subconscious programming and your energy field, your subtle energetic bodies. And really, my specialty is to work in the absolute depths. Most of my clients are no strangers to the spiritual path or the awakening path. And I myself have lived through countless of these identity collapses and ego deaths. So I've been stuck in those numb states of confusion, these states of awakening where it feels like my whole fucking world is falling apart and my entire identity is falling apart and everything's crumbling. I've lived through that and I know the way to guide you through this. So if you're exhausted from chasing and healing all the time and not getting anywhere, you're tired of the spiritual limbo space, and you're finally ready to really get into your next chapter and land there once and for all, here is where it can begin for you. I work with each individual client very, very in depth, one on one. And I really take the time and I give you all of myself when we're working together. So I give all of myself to each and every client. I roll my sleeves up and I'm right in the energy field with you. And we're transcending all this stuff together. So that's why I only work with a handful of clients at one time. And I only work with deeply invested clients. I invest in those who are ready to invest in themselves and also invest in me as a part of that. So, if you want to talk more about working together in a professional sense, reach out to me. You know where to find me. I'm not going to chase you to work with me. And if you're really truly ready to anchor this deep, deep down to the deepest level and declare this to the universe, write down in the comments right now to declare that in the comments. I am ready to leave my old version behind and create the new me. So declare that to me, declare that to you, to the entire universe who's vibrationally out there somewhere. And subscribe if you want, like the video if you want. And as I told a client the other day, just go fucking do it. So you've got this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.